What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 38 of Diggity, a video game podcast. I'm your host, Jeff James. As always, with me is the notorious, the glorious, the insane, and the membrane. The luscious Brody Fultz. How are you, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. Hey, kind of neat that you invented that couch there behind you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Inventor of the couch.
Just a little thing I threw together over the weekend, you know?
Just got some fabric and just,
no big deal.
Just made something that everyone sits their ass into. Crazy. You know what's crazy? Following us on Instagram. Not really. It's more informative. But you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, Diggity Gaming. If you're watching the video podcast right now and you haven't subscribed to us, subscribe to us. What are you waiting for? And if you've never been to our YouTube channel, like I said before, head on over to Diggity Gaming on YouTube. It's great. You get to see our faces, our beautiful, tired faces, because we do this always after work and late at night, but it's worth it. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audio book download and 30-day free trial by heading on over to audibletrial.com/diggity. You can get access to over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, or your Kindle. So head on over to audibletrial.com/diggity. That's Diggity. That's terrible. Did my, like, when I was doing that high pitch, my voice crack?
A little bit.
Puberty.
A little bit.
And with that, let's just jump into it. It's been a little bit of snow. I do hate snow right now.
Yeah, lots of snow right now.
Dude,
speaking of which, dude, my whole driveway is pure ice. I can't even get my car up into my garage.
No, dude, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
We parked on the road, right? And I'm trying to walk up my driveway to get to my house. And the Amber has both the boys, and I'm carrying groceries in, of course, because we had to go to Costco. So it's like, shit,
so it's a
perfect.
shit, too.
Oh,
it's like
it's
8,000 granola bars in a box.
Right, so she's trying to bring the boys up, and the boys can't walk up because it's pure ice. Both of them start crying. Amber's like, finally is like, hey, let's just go in the snow. We'll walk up in the snow, no big deal, right? You know, and so they get up there, and there's like where I have like sidewalk that goes up to my front door.
Right,
That's, yeah. They had to cross that, and it was pure ice as well. And oh my God,
Were the roads bad?
No, not really. That was the surprising
all the salt,
part.
man, from the weekend, probably from all that snow that hit the Midwest.
But so my youngest one, he fell and starts crying again. So we get him into the garage. The other one made it into the garage, and I turn around, and Amber is sitting on the ground, sliding down my driveway, just slowly kind of sliding away.
Oh my
Good God,
dude! Yeah.
So then I had to go out and make like 4 more trips up this pure sheet of ice to get the rest of the groceries in.
And once there's enough ice, too, you can't put salt on it. It doesn't do shit.
No, and
you can put sand on it, and that works. But yeah, you got to kind of wait.
Yeah, I forgot. I actually don't have any salt either, so that doesn't help any.
No.
But I was giving the car everything she's got to try to get her into the garage, and I didn't make it.
Was it just burning out in the driveway?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I turned traction control off and everything. I was gonna make it. I was bound and determined, but there's not a single part of my driveway that's not ice. So.
And you get a steep driveway too.
It's very steep. I've actually come out before, and my car has slid down my driveway and out into the road. Just if it gets icy at all, and I drive up it just slides right back down.
So you parked the Jeep on the road then, right? You learned your lesson from that one?
Yeah. I parked my vehicle on the road, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man.
I don't know what they're going to do, though. It's supposed to be warm tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here. Like, it's supposed to warm up in the morning. It's going to be just a gong show, and then it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow and then freeze on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be just gone.
It's going to be a mess. Absolutely.
Yeah, like kids are just not going to be in school for a bit.
There's not a chance my kids are going to school tomorrow. I guarantee it. I just don't. They canceled all after school activities today. And I can only imagine that there's already a 2-hour delay. I don't know. I haven't checked my phone to see if they called and all that stuff yet.
All right, so let's discuss the topic at hand today, sir, because news was slow. But we chose a good topic because I think it's one that needs to be had. We're going to talk about how babies are made.
Nice.
No, we're going to talk about what we kind of want out of the next generation of console. And we'll kind of break it up. We'll start with hardware, like physical hardware. Mm-hmm. Then we'll get into UI behind that hardware. Then we'll get into how we play games on that hardware. And then we'll get into cost. And I think we'll just break it up in those sections and those segments. And I'm excited to see kind of what we come up with. And I'm excited to compare this in a couple months because we're really not that far away from what the rumors are saying. We're like a solid, like 9-10 months away? Maybe less even for PlayStation, right? Isn't it like 7 months or something like that now?
Depends. It kind of, some people are saying, I think the majority of people are saying that it's actually going to come out in 2020.
Okay.
So we might be a full year away, maybe even longer, because a lot of times consoles don't release until the second half of the year.
When do you think they'll announce them?
Oh, I think we'll definitely hear about them, at least a teaser, if nothing else.
Oh, so like Scorpio style?
Yeah, I think we'll see like the Scorpio style kind of stuff.
I got you.
I think we'll see that maybe. Oh shit, man! I probably with Sony, I would think March, April time.
Right.
Whenever they announced that event was, I can't remember when they said that was going to be or around the time, but and then I think we'll see Xbox at E3.
Okay. Interesting. So let's just jump into it then. Let's start with hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go with Xbox first. What do we want to see in terms of the box, size, style, stuff like that?
For me personally, I am not too concerned about what it looks like, right? Because I've got like a regular TV stand, so everything's pretty much hidden. It doesn't really make too much of a difference to me. I mean, obviously, I don't want it to be ugly, but I'm rocking a day one Xbox One right now, so ugly doesn't really bother me. Let's be honest.
No, not at all.
But I think the smaller the better. I think that's what's going to please the most people.
Mm-hmm. What do you think its size is going to be? Like a 1S or a 1X?
I think we'll see probably about what the 1X is.
Yeah?
They've proven that they can do that, so I don't see why you would have to be any bigger than that. Mm-hmm. I just had to take a look at that big gaudy box over there.
It looks like a VCR. Like
it does. Like an old school VCR, right? Yeah. I don't know. As far as the actual looks of it, I don't truly care all that much. A little bit. I mean, I do have a little bit of a vein bone in my body, I guess, that cares about it. But at the same time,
do you want to see different colors of Xbox?
I would love to see different colors. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Because traditionally Xboxes are either black or white, and we've had like a few, like the 360. We've had a few, and then
and there's also cheating with the 360 because you had the face plates.
Right. But I mean, you're like you had like the Halo
Slim
one, right?
Yeah, you had the Slim one. They did another faceplate, and you had like a blue Madden one and like a red Gears.
And
one.
On that token,
we've had the Gears. We've had the Gears Xbox One.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had Gears. I think we had. Didn't Destiny have one? Or no?
We had a Battlefield one as well.
Yeah, the Battlefield
like baby bluish.
The recent
kinda.
Battlefield 5 one looked pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. It's like a little baby blue one. But yeah, I'd like to see like standard ones, like not ones that are just custom to games. Like I want to see like a red Xbox or just a yellow Xbox or a blue one. Right. I don't think they'll do it though because it's not like it's
I want electric green.
Oh, dude. I think that'd be fantastic if Xbox made the next Xbox just like that bright, vibrant green that they use in all their marketing.
Yeah.
That is such
I'm surprised they
green.
haven't. I don't know if it's just the fact that it could be an eyesore.
Or even green accents. Do a black box with green accents like the original Xbox had with the logo on it. Obviously, it had silver buttons and stuff like that, but it would have been cool. The original Xbox had a ton of different colors. They had crystal cases, too.
Yeah. I remember the clear ones. That was all the rage then, though. I mean, the transparent was all over the place.
I think if you brought that back, though,
Oh,
It would sell like hotcakes.
amazing.
Like
Well,
the Switch,
look at
dude.
PlayStation.
Just look at the Switch. Look at
Yeah.
the aftermarket kits that they sell to make all those things transparent, dude. Yeah, you did one exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's so dope. That's awesome.
But and PlayStation did for that anniversary console. They did the transparent blue console.
That's right. But that
and the
one
transparent controller.
I was a little disappointed in that. So the controller I liked. I
the
thought
controller
blue,
looked awesome.
I thought the blue that they did was great, but I feel like all the heat shield and all the shielding that they did inside of the the PlayStation,
it kind of defeats
just
the
kind of looked
purpose.
like just like a
It's just
you couldn't see any
alright.
circuitry,
Right.
which just makes it good. But yeah, okay, cool. So we want it smaller than what we have right now. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. My Xbox One S, I don't think it's ugly, but I think the design is not great anymore.
It's not terrible.
Kind of like a golf ball.
It does kind of look like a golf ball. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're still gonna have vents in there somehow. So they got to put them in there.
Right. It's got
It's
a
just
massive
a matter of how.
fan too in it now.
Right. Yeah.
Massive
Which is
fan.
great.
Yeah.
And they finally put the power brick inside.
Right. Isn't that
they didn't have that
amazing
external.
though, dude?
I can't
you
believe.
take how big the first one is. Just even look at the 360. I don't know if many people have seen there's some documentaries online on YouTube. I forget the YouTube channel that I watched, but just search for like history of Xbox 360, and they discuss of how quickly those consoles were made, and obviously everyone remembers the Red Ring of Death being a huge prevailing issue on the Xbox 360s, especially the first couple million models made. But the bricks, the power supplies, they can't put them inside of them not because it'd be too big, because literally it's too hot inside of the 360 is why they did not put that in there. And it's just insane, exactly to your point, that they have the 1S and it's just included in it now.
Yeah.
Versus the OG one's massive.
And they have no problems with it.
No.
I mean, as far as I've seen, nothing that was major, and widespread. But the Xbox One to release with the external power brick was kind of odd.
Very odd, considering how big it was. And when you pick it up, it feels like there's a lot of dead air in the OG one.
It feels kind of empty, which is weird. I mean,
it feels
it's
like there's
a
like a
massive
half
box,
inch
right?
of just like air above above whatever board is in there.
Yeah, you can just kind of push on the top of it, and it's like there's nothing here for like an inch and a half. I mean, half the thickness of this thing is nothing.
I know. So funny. Oh man. Also on another note of that, let's talk about controllers, because obviously that's
controllers.
The biggest thing to me, honestly, of the console is a controller, and whether I enjoy the console playing it, because that's how you play the console. And I get people are gonna say, well, yeah, there's VR and stuff like that. No, I don't. And Kinect, there's no way they're gonna continue Kinect.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it died so quickly, even into the Xbox One's life. It was like within a year that it was pretty much obsolete, right? And ever since they started, what was the big push? What was the big thing that they released that everybody was in a mad rush to get the Kinect?
Kinectimals and Kinect Adventures or whatever?
No, I mean like in the last year. There was something that they
They released something that got people to want to go buy a Kinect?
Yeah, because don't you remember that the new Xboxes, you'd have to have an adapter to use Kinect. And so there was this mad dash to try to get the adapter that would allow you to use Kinect again. And then the price of those things went through the roof.
No, I don't recall this at all.
I wish I could remember the details, but there was something that they brought back. I don't remember if it was... Surely it wasn't just Cortana, but there was actually something that they were using it for that pushed this kind of craze to get the Kinect going again. I actually didn't do it because I still have my Kinect sitting in my mechanical room and no big deal. But are you doing some research?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and look.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember within the last year's time, it was before we started doing this podcast, right? But I remember seeing it online where there was this big push, and then the adapters for the Kinect went through the roof. They were like $100, and people were buying them just so they could use their Kinect again, and it was a little bit of a mess. But I imagine the Kinect is going to be dead. And while we're talking about the Kinect,
Was it Boom Ball?
I don't think so. I don't know. But while we're talking about the Kinect and something that may or may not be obsolete going forward, how do you feel about the optical drives? You think we're going to have a disc drive in this next Xbox?
Before we get into controllers. Yeah. I think so. I think we'll still have it. I don't think you can get rid of that yet. I think we'll still have that. And I think we'll still have the stupid little speakers inside of all the boxes that make the boo-doo-doo and all the dumb noises. That was this gen's whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
Put a little
all
speaker that made a little noise.
Right.
I think they're going to stay away from the touch-sensitive buttons, though.
I hope so. Too many stories of like animals rubbing up against them and shutting it off, and just like stupid stuff. It just doesn't make any
sense. It's just one of those things where it's like
just have a real button.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit. Like no one's like sitting there and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy."
It's the future.
I'm
like
so
nobody
happy
cares.
It uses the electric field from my finger to pop the disc open. I'm fine with opening the disc.
Actually, going forward, you're actually gonna have to prick your finger and put your blood onto your Xbox to turn it on.
Blood brother, blood oath.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's how you connect to Xbox Live. You make a blood oath. Oh my
no
God.
No longer needs passwords. You just need your own blood.
Exactly.
You keep a little violet of it, or a vial of it at home, so the kids can play while you're gone. And
this blood is not fresh. Please
this blood is 3 days old.
Oh man, yeah, no, I don't. I think they're gonna keep the optical drive at least for this one. I think if they come out with a slim of the next gen, they'll get rid of the optical drive, because I mean we had those rumors a couple weeks ago that we were talking about on the podcast of them getting rid of the optical drive on whatever the next version of the Xbox One is for the Slim, and just go into a box, which makes sense. I mean, when you take the 1S and you take whatever's in that box and the optical drive in that, I bet you can shrink that thing down by like half.
Oh, I guarantee it. Absolutely.
I
think I fully agree with you. I think it's going to be something that at least the first iteration of the next generation of console, I think it will have an optical drive. And I know we've kind of focused more on Xbox so far up until this point, but we
didn't
on the
really
PlayStation
side. Yeah. On the PlayStation side, what do you want to see for hardware? Smaller box, kind of similar thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, across the board there, I feel the same. I think PlayStation kind of has already done a pretty good job. I mean, their console's not as ugly.
I'd like to see them
better.
Step out the box and do a better design.
Yeah, no, it's not a fantastic design by any means, but at least it's not a giant VCR. There's a little bit of shape to it. It's not just a giant rectangle.
Well, and also I think they got burned when they came with the PlayStation 3 and they did the whole glossy black PlayStation 3, and it was like super shiny and all the buttons were touch, and it was just, it was a little too much. It was beautiful. Right.
But yeah, I think going forward, we're at least going to have the optical drive, the disc drive for the first iteration of both consoles. I think PlayStation and Xbox. Going forward from there, I think it'll be interesting to see if Sony does, if they take it away, because they don't. Up until this point, they don't seem to be pushing the streaming nearly as hard as Microsoft is.
I think they're waiting to see how Microsoft does stuff and then trying to come in and try to perfect it.
So I would think that PlayStation, they might do it late in the generation. Mm-hmm. I mean, according to current generation standards, right? I think it's going to be well after the Xbox launches their Slim or whatever it ends up being, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's going to be necessity, because nobody's ready to make that jump to solely streaming or solely digital yet. I mean, we're getting closer and we're definitely on that track, but I don't think we're quite there yet. A little bit further, right?
Right. No, absolutely. I think you're right on that. For controller stuff, let's go back to Xbox. Let's run through the Xbox controller real quick. Stuff I'd like to see in the next one. I want to see a better build quality of materials. I want to see rechargeable batteries. I want to see better buttons per se. I'm kind of cool with the triggers right now as they are, but I maybe would like to see like the triggers of the Elite. I'd like to see the bumper buttons change, ABXY. That I think the buttons feel okay, like the material, but it's just they're so flimsy and shaky. Like, I mean, you can put your thumb on it and go back and forth, and it moves around within the concave that it sits in. And yeah, I want to see a different D-pad. Biggest thing I want to see in both controllers, but you know, I'll let you say your piece on the Xbox controller. I want to see good rumble. Like, I want Joy-Con level rumble. Like, I want
the haptic rumble or the HD rumble.
Yeah, I feel they are so behind.
You want to be able to feel how many ice cubes are in your Xbox controller.
Exactly. How many pennies are in my Xbox controller?
That way we can get a 1-2 Xbox game and charge $50 for it.
Oh my god. I don't know what they're thinking. Oh, jeez, Nintendo. Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the areas that I think is so underutilized is the rumble functionality in games right now. Well, and just like Xbox and PS4, like the rumble that they have in those controllers is so rudimentary. Like, it's the same system that's been going for the last, like, I don't know what, 15 years almost now, something crazy like that. It's just an offset weight on a shitty little electric motor that just spins at a variable speed.
Right. And what was it we were playing? Battlefield 5 the other day, and you said something about how every time you fired or were fired at, there was no rumble. And I never even realized it, right? We were just sitting there playing, and you're like, dude, there's no rumble when you fire your gun. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? And I started firing. I'm like, holy shit, there's not.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that set off a rumble...
They did a great job of designing the game to make it feel like, you know...
Right. I never caught it. It was so weird, and like the only thing that actually had rumble was...
It explodes.
I think
when
stuff
you... explodes.
Yeah, stuff explodes, and I think when you died, maybe?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back to that and
when you're
double
dying
check,
and you reach your hand out to slow down the dying process, it like kind of wiggles a little bit.
Make sure you can see me as I die.
I like that feature in the game.
No, it is. It creates a very
dark scene.
It's a dark side of the game that I guess it's all about war, so it's kind of all dark, but
and dies. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's awful. It's so it haunts my nightmares. It's fine though.
It's all good. What do you want to see in an Xbox controller?
So for me, I actually really like the Xbox controller, which is not really anything new. I've always liked, but for me, I fully agree. I think the build quality definitely needs to improve, and that's across the board. Even the Elite controller, which is much better, there's still issues there. There's still problems. There's still
rubber backs of them, right, are like falling off or something like that. Is that a thing?
Yeah, the rubber backs are peeling off. They have a issue where the bumpers are breaking off on them.
Really?
It's pretty bad. The RB bumpers, right?
Okay.
Not your main triggers, but all it is like a shitty little piece of plastic in there that holds that bumper together. And as soon as that breaks, it's just gone. I mean, there's nothing else there. So a build quality type deal, right? I think we've kind of talked about it before, but I feel like the rubber grips that they added later on in the console generation with the newer controllers, I think those are amazing. Those need to be a mainstay. They need to always be on every controller from here on out.
Oh, agreed.
I personally, like, I just got my Elite controller for my birthday last year, I believe, and I absolutely love it. But I think that the build quality in the cheaper controllers, and I say cheaper very loosely because I mean they're still $60-$70 for a controller, and I think that It needs to be better. There's no reason people should be breaking controllers within a year. I don't care how much you play. You shouldn't be breaking a controller in a year just with normal use.
Right. Or like analog sticks wearing down after a year.
Right.
The rubber's torn up off of it, or especially on the Elite controller, you're spending, what is it, $150 for an Elite controller?
Yeah.
And the rubber back is peeling off. Like, come on, get a better job gluing that, or, figure it out where you're putting some sort of coating on the controller, similar to like the Joy-Cons. How they have that coating.
It's like a texture, yeah, almost.
Yeah. Oh, PSA on that, because I found out through one of my friends. Anyone who's buying D-brand like stick-ons for those Joy-Cons, I don't know if it's like, so I don't know if this is a for sure thing with everything, but if you're gonna buy a D-brand decal for the back of the Switch, doesn't matter, go for it, no problem. But the texture coating that is on the Joy-Cons, if you have the D-brand skin on and it gets hot enough, which it's going to because it's going to be in your hands, in your sweaty palms, the glue and that finish that is on the Joy-Cons will rip that finish that's on the Joy-Con off in some cases.
I'm gonna argue with you on that, because D-brand, when the Switch first came out, they first talked about how they weren't gonna put out decals because of this issue here, and they didn't put them out for almost a year until after the console was released.
No, I know.
And then released it, and I hadn't heard of any issues with
There's some
the
people
D-brands
online that were having stuff, but honest to God, I think at this point, it's because it was from like some extreme use.
Yeah,
or it just like sat in the sun or something in the car and it chewed away at the thing. Because I know what you're gonna say. D-brand is usually a very very.
I fully trust their testing on that, because that's weird, and I hadn't heard about it. And once they released, like, people were checking them like crazy. Everybody was going through. They were putting them on, ripping them off, all sorts of stuff, just to make sure that they didn't have any issues.
No, I hadn't
heard that.
It's from a couple people who had some long-term use of them. Like, they had the D-brand skin on there for like a year. They go to peel it off, and it wasn't residue from the sticker, because they use good stuff. They use like 3M, stuff that goes on like a freaking car. Like, it's fantastic. But it peeled up that kind of soft layer. Yeah, some of them.
That's interesting.
Which is weird.
I'll have to look into that.
This is a company that you put stuff on a phone, and you're solid. You're good with it. Like, it's good enough for an iPhone. It's good enough for anything. Anyways, aside from that, let's move on to PlayStation controller.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. First thing, PlayStation controller for me. I don't know I don't really know what you would replace it with, but I don't like the rounded, I guess, would you call them arms that you hold on to? You know what I mean? Like, I guess the two legs, we'll call it two legs. Like the two legs that come down like this. I don't like how rounded they are at the bottom. I get the point of it because it kind of fits into your palm in a certain way, but I would have liked to have it like concaved and then a flatter edge. I just look at the PlayStation remote or controller, sorry, and I look at the Xbox controller, and the Xbox controller looks so much more well designed from a look standpoint than the PlayStation controller. And people argue, well, I'd rather have functionality over Xbox. That's another thing, but I think the Xbox controller is much better than the PlayStation controller, and I've owned both.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, on the PlayStation stuff, aside from the rounded stuff gone, I totally want the touch pad stuff gone. I think it's just useless. Nobody uses it. It's just wasted real estate. And I think that if they can get rid of that and make it a cheaper controller, like, I honest to God think that if the next generation if Sony or Xbox, one of them decided, hey, our controllers aren't going to be $70, they're actually only going to be $50 or $40, people would probably go buy that console just because they know that the controllers are cheaper.
Right.
Like that.
But at the same time, we're calling for higher build quality, and then we want them to drop the price. So good luck with that.
Well, I just mean from the essence, like, if you can take the trackpad out, surely that's a decent cost to them.
Oh, yeah. And nobody uses it. None of the developers are spending time to do anything with that trackpad that's really worth it. I mean, in all honesty, there's a couple games that tried to utilize it, and it's just there's no point. It's basically just a start button is what they use it for half the time, right? I want to swing.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Real quick. I wanted to swing back to the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Just for a quick second, and it was just about the battery. You said you wanted rechargeable batteries on it, right?
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
personally, I'm kind of against that. And I'm in the minority on that, I know. But I actually, once I got my Elite controller, I cannot use a regular, like, a Power A or the Energizer rechargeable battery packs, right? The little things like that, you know, and you just shove it in there. I cannot use those anymore. They don't fit in the Elite controller, which I found bizarre, but they don't. And I researched it just to make sure I'm not an idiot, right?
Duracell.
But anyway, I had to go back to actual rechargeable AA batteries, and they last a million times longer.
Oh, so you're using rechargeable? Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Is I'll argue that.
Yeah, I know they get wore down over time.
No,
things like that.
It has nothing to do with your battery stuff. I think it's fantastic right now because you're absolutely right. Rechargeable like a PlayStation 4 controller's rechargeable batteries are shit. Like,
yeah, terrible. Absolutely.
See, but that's the problem. They're garbage, and they could make them a lot better. Look at a phone battery now, man. Like you're telling me,
it's unreal.
You can't pack a bigger battery into a controller. Like you can pack a cell phone battery into the controller from like a phone a couple years ago, and I bet you the controller would last like a fucking week.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm getting out of like the AA batteries, right? Like I'm getting pretty much a week of 2, 3, 4 hours a night, depending on how early we end up getting on, or if we're recording this or whatever it is. But that was just something I wanted to circle back to.
No, for sure.
If we go to rechargeables, they got the actual rechargeables inside the control. They gotta be good, because there's nothing worse than searching around for your cord to plug in your controller, or to find your secondary controller, or things like that when you're in the middle of a game. You know,
unless you're lucky.
It's frustrating. It's annoying. For me now, I can pop the batteries out, throw a new set of batteries in, throw the charger in the wall, good to go.
Like unless you're lucky and you have a dock where it's super easy, like the dock that I have, where it just cradles it and you just plop it in there. Because I've even used like the older Energizer docks, and sometimes like you think you got it on there, and then you go to play a game and my battery, it's dead. It didn't actually sit on the contacts.
Right.
Because they tried to make it look like a fucking spaceship instead of making it like an actual, like decent industrial like style charger that just works.
And I get the point of the stands because they look nicer and all. I like to just plug it in just so I know it's plugged in and good to go. But at the same time, I think if you charge your controller every single night, you end up just wearing down the batteries, right? Like batteries don't like to be overcharged, and there is a little bit of a safeguard on that. But when you leave it plugged in and you don't touch it again for another 24 hours, you kind of run into issues, you know. I think that's a lot of the problems that I've run into with the rechargeable battery packs, where they're just junk and they wear down like so quickly, right?
And then they just die.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, back to what you were saying on PlayStation. Sorry.
So anyways, trackpad gone. I also would like to see the shoulder buttons and the triggers improved. I think the triggers on the PlayStation controller are just not good. I'd honestly like to see. So the thing with PlayStation that I enjoy is that they try to keep it consistent with last gen and just try to tweak it just a little bit. They almost got ahead when it was a PS3 and they were showing that freaking crazy boomerang controller. Which was just wild.
It was bizarre, for sure.
Oh, it looked terrible. But I think sometimes they hold themselves back a little bit. I would have liked to see a trigger system kind of like the Xbox on a PlayStation controller. Maybe not necessarily as long as a trigger, but a little bit shorter. But the way that the triggers are made on the PlayStation, they don't fit my hand very well. And the top bumper buttons are just small. Like they should be able to take up a rounded corner, a rounded edge of the controller rather than just this little minuscule rectangle at the top. And I would like to see them step up their game when it comes to the analog sticks in terms of the rubber on top of them. I like the grip that the Xbox One has, where it's kind of like this like diamond cut pattern all around the edge that really grips your finger well. And other than that, I mean, there's some things I love about the PlayStation controller that I hope they don't get rid of. Is I think PlayStation does a way better job making custom controllers than Xbox. Like different color variations and stuff like that. Yeah, I know there's a design lab, but like you can get camo and stuff like that for like.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call PlayStation's custom. They're just different colors, right? Because they don't have anything on their website to actually go in and create a controller.
That would be fantastic. That'd be
which is what cool. Xbox does have. So they actually have the custom controllers that you're looking for. But Yeah, no, I agree. I think PlayStation does a fantastic job with a lot of the different variants and colors and things like that. Xbox has a lot of them too, but they're kind of weird about it, where you can only get them for a short period of time. You can only get them at certain retailers. Like, there's all sorts of stipulations on a lot of that, and there's some of that on the PlayStation side as well. But it seems more prevalent on the Xbox side of things there.
So, what about you for PlayStation controller?
I'm going to be very honest, and a lot of people are going to hate me for it, but I don't really care for the PlayStation controller. Every time I've used it, my hands cramp up. It's just not comfortable for me, but keep in mind, I'm a longtime Xbox player, so the Xbox controller feels normal to me. That's what I'm used to playing with.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting used to it. The PlayStation 4 is the first PlayStation I've bought. It was a PlayStation 4 Plus, and I just bought it this year. So for anybody just now listening to us, I mean, that's kind of why I'm not a PlayStation guy, and kind of why I focus on Xbox most of the time, even though I don't mean to. But for me, being the Xbox guy, I prefer the offset sticks. No. I love the offset
sticks. Someone just cried in their vehicle on the way to work. What? Brody, no.
No, God, no. No, I've always preferred the offset sticks. It just feels right. Again, it's just probably that I'm used to it more than anything. But I do know, like, Scuff, the controller company, made essentially like an elite controller for PlayStation.
Yeah, custom, like professional controllers.
Yeah, and it looks more like an Xbox controller. It has the offset sticks, things like that. If they don't change that, it's not going to be the end of the world for me. But I agree with the get rid of the trackpad. There's no point to have it. Nobody uses it. It's just adding price to the controllers that doesn't need to be there. I agree the triggers need some work. They're a little small. Yep. They just don't feel right, and I don't even have big hands. I can't even imagine people with with a full-on Oscar Mayer wiener for a finger, right? Trying to hit those triggers. It's just it doesn't make sense.
The Xbox trigger, when you pull it down, it has somewhere to land. You know, like there's a 0 point when it's fully closed, and that's harder plastic on the back of the controller. On the PS4, your finger just kind of like goes down and like slips into no man's land.
Yeah, it's just a slide off, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know. I that's not one of my favorite things about it, but I think most of the time it works well. I haven't heard much of an issue with build quality. I know there at the beginning of the PlayStation 4, they had that light on the front that would like shine onto TVs and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And you and me personally have talked about it. We've never talked about it on the podcast before, but I think it'd be cool if they actually had the light shine back at you. I think that could be an issue as far as like maybe people that have epilepsy and things like that.
At the bottom of the controller, right?
Right. Yeah. But I think that would be cool as far as like, hey, you're taking damage and now a red light's shining on you or something like that. But I see where it could be an issue possibly for people with like epilepsy and causing problems.
Right now they just have like that little slit at the top of the trackpad.
Right, and I honestly forget that light's even there most of the time. I use it to check and see if the controller's on, and that's about it. But as far as it being there, it seems kind of pointless. So maybe once you get rid of the trackpad, maybe you could have something on the top there or something. Right. I mean, I don't think getting rid of that light altogether is something they should do, but at the same time, they need to do something different with it. If that makes sense.
No, totally agree.
I agree with you that the sticks on PlayStation don't feel nearly as good. I feel like they could use a little bit of texture, or even make them slightly concave on the top, so your fingers kind of like rest inside of them. Yeah. As far as buttons go, for the most part, they feel pretty good. You know, your X, square, circle, triangle. I haven't had any issues with that. The D-pad feels pretty good. To me, it's okay. I mean, it is a little bizarre.
An analog stick should go there.
Offset sticks.
Yep. Yep. Nah, absolutely. I think something that both controllers need to have is just a standardized audio jack that I could plug my Apple headphones into, or I could plug my Beats that I'm wearing right now into there and just use them as a mic.
and it works well, because I know at least on Xbox, if you plug in a set of Beats like that or something like that, you get this awful feedback or an echo, or it never works properly.
No, never does.
Because it does have a headphone jack, right? But it's just not quite exactly what it needs to be.
Oh, you just have to have it like half plugged in, half not. Here, I like 3D
no, I'm not
printed this
doing
little
that
thing.
bullshit.
It's like, no, that's bullshit. Yeah, but just make it work. Just make it work out of the box, please.
Just right.
That's all I ask.
That should be standard. And I use a PlayStation headset on both Xbox, PlayStation, and sometimes on my PC. I have a separate one for my PC, but sometimes I just use the other one, right? Mm-hmm. And so that works fine. It's literally just headphones, like what I have in, here, or like your Beats or something like that. Right. That's the only time there's really an issue with that jack in it. I don't really know the internals of that, in all honesty. I don't know what the difference is. I assume it's just a different size, slightly different.
Oh, dude, the audio
something.
Jack stuff. No, it's literally so like if you look at an audio jack, like an old on a pair of headphones.
Yeah,
you'll see how it's broken up into like 3 rings.
It's got the 3 little sections, right?
Yeah, one's for like left, one's for right, and one's for the mic input.
Oh, okay.
And controls. And so what they're doing is they just don't have
the one
third,
of them,
either the third one, or they've made it into a certain shape and a certain size where it just the ring does not connect at that point.
Gotcha. So, I've never paid all that much attention to it, in all honesty.
Oh, it's been a thing that's just bugged me so much that I've actually learned about this stuff. Like I've researched some stuff up to see how it actually works.
It's a headphone jack. It should work properly, right?
I know, right?
it's just there. It should work.
Let's talk about something else that should work good out of the box, because I think this generation failed tremendously on it. That's UI. So it's kind of quick on this one. For me, on the Xbox side of things. Let's just do Xbox and we'll do PlayStation first. On the Xbox side of things, I think right now it does a great job of the pop-up menu. When you hit the Xbox button, we all know that when it first launched and it used the Windows 8 kind of UI scheme with the tiles, it was horrendous. And they've done a lot of work, and the team's done a great job. I think the only thing that I'd like to see on it is I don't want to have to scroll vertically up and down to see different things. I'd like to be able to scroll horizontally. And through like different slides and different pages on the Xbox UI to find different information about my games. I'd like to be able to add more than one game to the home screen in a grid pattern that I want to add, like
rather
in a way
than
that I want to do it.
Oh yeah, aside from like the pin system that they have in place, right?
Yeah, where it's like a whole like 3/4 of the screen. I just want to be able to like slap like 4 or 5 of my games.
Right there at
on
the top,
home screen.
Like,
yeah,
easy to get to. You don't have to scroll all the way down. Yeah, I got you.
Right. I want it to run faster, and more efficiently.
You and every other user of the system.
I also want the store. I think the Xbox store is laid out much nicer right now compared to the PlayStation store. However, I want, when I go to store on my Xbox, I don't want to see movies first. I want to see games. I want to just click games right off the bat. And if I want to go see
movies should be a second thought. It should be a second tab that you have to hit something extra to get to. Because I bought an Xbox to play video games. I bought a PlayStation to play video games. I don't care about movies.
Don't give a shit.
I have other systems and things for that. There's smart TVs. Like every TV in my house can play everything else.
Exactly, Netflix.
The TV in my game room does not watch TVs. It's for playing, right?
Yeah,
it's just stupid. I hate that.
I know. I hate that so much too. And on the store pages, like the actual game pages themselves, I want to see a better way to watch a trailer. Just any form of media to watch on an Xbox is so frustrating because the player UI is on top of the content that you want to watch. So, for instance, when someone wants to share a clip of like a sick headshot or something in Battlefield 5, it's generally going to be like 10 to 12 seconds long, right? The process to which you have to share that is so stupid because you have to upload it to Xbox Live, you have to trim it, send it to Xbox Live, and then finally send the message to one of your buddies. But then when they click it and they open it, since it's only 10 seconds long, the player UI that goes over top of the content that's being played, the clip, stays there for like 8 to 9 seconds, and then it goes away. So the
you can catch the last 3 seconds of it.
Yeah, so the whole first time that you're watching that clip, generally speaking, this happens to me all the time, like when you or Craig send me a clip, is I'm just looking at a gigantic play button or a gigantic pause button. And the same goes for trailers. Like, if I want to see a trailer, let me just click play on it. If you want to autoplay it for me after a couple seconds, no problem. Let me be able to click B, and then the player goes down and away, and the player's at the bottom of it. It's not in the middle of the trailer. And then if I want the trailer or the player to pop back up, I'll just press an analog stick or just press any button, and it'll pop up. And then if I want to get back to the store page and not watch it full screen, I just click B twice. That's all I want. That's all I want out of Xbox for the next UI. That's absolutely it. And I want to see better. I think the way that you do parties on Xbox is pretty good, pretty easy right now.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I think.
Pretty simple.
I don't know if I'm just used to it or what, but it seems
you click
pretty
one
self-explanatory.
Button, click one button, find your friend, and press X.
Yeah.
And they're in a party, right? Like, I mean, it's
I
great.
think that is something where the UI excels on Xbox, is just that pop-up menu. And granted, sometimes there's issues with it where you hit the start or you hit the Xbox button and it does goofy shit. But for the most part, the pop-up menu that they have actually works fairly well, and it does exactly what you need, and you can get to everything that you want to get to fairly quickly and good to go.
So what do you want out of the Xbox UI?
For me, they have that social tab, and that is frustrating to me. I don't have a problem with the social tab in itself. I have a problem with seeing news from people I don't care about. Let's be honest.
Or I get dumb news too.
Yeah, a lot of it's dumb news. It's like scrolling through Facebook anymore. You get a bunch of stuff you really don't care about from people you don't even know, that aren't friends with, right? They're just people that other people know, and it gets weird. And honestly, I want to see activity from the people that I've favorited first. I want to see that first and foremost, because they're the people I favorited, and they're the people I really either I play with a lot, or I care what they're doing, or whatever. Like the rest of the friends list is meh. I mean, don't care. Put it second, at the most. So that's one thing I'd like to see. Secondly, I agree that the UI needs to be much faster. There's no reason there should be all this lagginess and just all over the place. I've run into issues on the Xbox store where I'll click on something and it goes to something that I was looking at earlier, like not even what I clicked on. The store's laid out better than PlayStation to me, but it runs like dog shit. It's just slow and laggy, and it does weird shit. Like you said, when you click on a game, it takes you to the main screen, and it has an overlay, and then it has the trailer playing in the background. So then now you have to wait for the overlay to go away by itself, and then watch the trailer, and rather than hitting up and just being able to watch the trailer without any interruptions. There's no big pause button. Basically, they just need to take what they have, make it quicker, and clean it up. And I think they're onto something good there. We've talked before about how we really don't care about avatars. You could get rid of those. I know you spent a lot of money and time developing them.
Get rid of it.
Nobody cares.
They're pushing that into the next Xbox for sure. They're never going to get rid of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably going to be like up front and center. Every time you go to somebody's profile, it's right there, big and obnoxious. There's no way to get rid of it. Like, no, we're getting our money's worth out of these avatars.
Look, it's you.
It's you in a shitty cartoon version of you.
No. Okay, cool. From PlayStation side, I'm pretty quick on this. I just flat out I don't like the PlayStation UI. It's just old. It's stale to me. Needs a complete refresh, and I think their store is extremely slow and irritating to use. And quite honestly, I think the store also does not, from looking through the eyes of a game developer, it does not showcase the game very well comparative to like the Xbox store.
Right.
So those are kind of my only gripes on it. Something I like about PlayStation Store or PlayStation's UI, it runs smooth.
It does run very smooth, yeah.
And on top of that, I enjoy themes, and I wish Xbox would incorporate themes as well. But those are my 2 cents on the PlayStation side of things.
PlayStation for me, I agree with the store. I think it's messy. They have all these different tabs that you can go through, but none of them are very clean. Everything is just kind of, oh yeah, you go through each tab and then you got to go over here, and it's like, yeah, it's like it's just all over the place, right? And then, as far as the search function on it, I hate that you have to scroll down through each letter. You got to scroll down. So if you have something that we talked about it the other day, just between you and me, if you have something that starts with Z and then has a Z in it again, now you're scrolling from like 0 or blank all the way down to Z, all the way down to Z again. Yep. Like it's not a normal keyboard layout, which I think is a much simpler idea. And there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when the wheel works just fine, right?
Yep.
And I think PlayStation is very frustrating in that aspect because they either like to reinvent something that doesn't need reinvented, or they don't reinvent something that needs reinvented.
Yes, absolutely agree with you.
And so for PlayStation, I agree that the way they have things laid out on the home screen, while it is clean and while it works and it is pretty quick, it's stale. I don't want to scroll all the way over to one side and scroll through 90% of the games that I own to finally get to the menu at the end that has all of the games. Or, I've run into issues also where right below each game, as you scroll across the top there, below each game, they have like an extra little page about each game, right? And on Xbox, it's a whole nother hub, but this one is right below it, and it's a great idea, but sometimes it doesn't load. Sometimes it takes forever to load. Sometimes it's just like it doesn't work exactly right most of the time. I don't even pay any attention to it, in all honesty. And I agree that the themes are amazing, and I would like to see more themes. I don't even care if they're paid on Xbox. Like, just give me themes. Like, that's what I've been wanting on the Switch for so long. I just want themes on the Switch. I want themes on my Xbox. That's all I want.
Well, we talked about that too with the Switch. Or just be able to make a custom color.
Yeah. Which at least Xbox does have that, and you can choose you can select your background and things like that. But absolutely. Like, I think themes for games, even if it's, I hate to say pre-order bonus because I don't advocate pre-orders. Just because, anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, right? Yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast.
But if you get a theme for buying a game or a theme for beating a game or things like that, I think those are really cool. And I think the themes just add a certain level of customization to your console that the Xbox lacks, and I think the PlayStation excels on it.
Absolutely.
And so.
Yeah, no, and moving forward, I guess we talked about hardware, we talked about UI. I guess most important part is how we're going to play the games. This one's pretty quick for me.
Mm-hmm.
Next
I
gen.
think we're pretty close to on the same page about this, from what I've understand.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Next gen, I think we see just like an evolutionary generation where it basically goes from here's the optical drive and a digital storefront to streaming, and a digital storefront to streaming at the end of its life cycle. You're gonna see the first box come out, whether it be PlayStation or Xbox, and it's gonna have all the hardware that possibly can inside of it, and then the last box in the generation, like the last slim rendition of whatever it's going to be that comes out, is going to be very light on hardware and focus more on streaming. So most of the stuff is done on the back end. Mm-hmm. And I think to think for a second that in the next 2 to 3 years that we fundamentally that the way that we play video games changes, and that like I suspect the whole Microsoft store eventually just go to a subscription. Yeah. For Game Pass. I think Game Pass is just one giant test towards just a subscription based gaming. Like, throw me $30, $40 a month, and you can access any game on the Xbox store. And then you get into that, and then you get that into streaming on that grand of a scale. And I truly think that's how it's going to be. I mean, people, are constantly talking about how, they're saying things like, well, there's no way that we're going to get to streaming that quickly. Look at Netflix, man. You remember how quickly Netflix went from, just selling the DVDs or not selling them, but renting a DVD, getting it shipped to your mailbox to streaming, and how quickly that took off. That took off so fast. Like within a year, you were hearing everybody using Netflix. Netflix this, Netflix that. Everybody wanted to sign up for it. Everyone wanted to use it. So I think, games will take to that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I think streaming is definitely going to be the way we move forward eventually. I think it's going to take almost this whole next console generation to an extent. I mean, I think it's going to take the majority of it. Like we talked about earlier, I think the initial release of these next consoles are going to be pretty standard. I think we might see some streaming, but I think the actual console itself is going to be pretty standard. You're going to still be able to play physical media, I think the slim version of it, I think that is going to be where we start to see more of a streaming focus. Maybe not. Again, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think it's going to be definitely more geared towards the streaming. And then I think by the time we get to maybe even a third iteration, like what we've seen with the Xbox One, where you have the Xbox One, you have the Xbox One S, and the Xbox One X, I think we're going to have something similar. Yeah.
So many SKUs.
But I think
do you think
by the time
SKUs right out the gate?
What's that?
Do you think we'll have SKUs right at the gate? Like you take a look at the iPhone.
That's
10
what I'm
and
saying.
I
don't. I think the first iteration that we see is going to be pretty standard console stuff. We're going to have the disc drive. We're going to have everything that we normally would have.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you think that it's just going to be 4K moving forward, or do you think that there's going to be, even with the optical disc drive and everything, do you think that there might be the off chance like, hey, we're announcing this, and there's two models that you can buy? There's one that is, X amount or whatever, and then one that's $100 more and it gets you 4K.
See, I don't think so, because most of the time, if history is any judge on this, right, I think usually the last iteration of the previous generation is what we see as the first iteration in the next generation. Yeah. So like what we ended with the 360 is very similar to kind of how we started on the Xbox One.
Right.
And so I think going forward, I think 4K is going to become such a standard thing, and we're starting to move towards that direction that I think they're going to have to make it almost standard on the next console, or else people are going to be pissed off about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you, even in this last generation, you had your Xbox One that came out, and then finally you got the 4K with the Xbox One S, and the PS4 Pro. That's finally when we got the upgrade. So it wouldn't make much sense to have that as another upgrade moving forward with the next generation. It just feels like a step in the backwards before you move forward, right?
Right. My only worry is that they do that just to make it cheaper, because if you look at Apple with the iPhone 10 and then the iPhone 10R, the only reason why they put that iPhone 10R out there was to get into markets like India and China, where people aren't willing to spend $1,000 per se for the latest phone, so they can get the latest software and the latest latest hardware minus cheaper screen and antenna. That's my fear. I think for the next one.
Well, from what I've seen in the past, right? So we've got, when the Xbox One launched, it launched at $500, the original Xbox One. Now we've had Xbox One X launch, and it also launched at $500, and that's with 4K and being the most powerful console ever. Right. So clearly they're not afraid to launch a console at that price point. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be necessarily an issue.
But the One S is $399 now, right?
Right. But that's now. I mean, it's been out for what 3-4 years now, the 1S. So I mean, yeah, that's the way it works. It's going to go down in price, but I think as a launch console, there's no reason. They've already proven they can do 4K. They've already proven they can do the most powerful console we've seen yet for the same price point that they launched last generation. So why wouldn't they be able to do it again? Right. Is my thing.
No, fair enough.
I think, the way they've approached it in the past is if you can't afford the next console, just hold out for a little bit and stick with what you got. Because most of the time, developers are still releasing games on both the last gen and the first gen for like the first 2 years, right? There's like a buffer window.
Yeah, I'm expecting a huge influx though. I really think that this next generation is going to have a super solid lineup.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Yeah.
I think that we've passed that kind of weird technology hump per se, where going from like a 360 to an Xbox One was such a massive leap, and it required it. I mean, that went from a stage of a consumer pretty much, buying almost all their games through an optic, with the use of a CD for their optical drive, minus Xbox Arcade, which really kind of just started out with some really small games. And then by the end of it, ended into, being able to purchase, full-fledged games on it. But I think, it's a lot different now being able to port stuff over for sure. Yeah. So I think we'll see a ton of ports on day one. But I also think that we'll see some great first-party lineups for day one launch for sure. I think definitely for Xbox because they want to kill it out of the gate against PlayStation. Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's talk the last little item here. Let's talk price of both. Let's just talk just price in general, what we pay, because they're both going to try to be the exact same price. That's how it's always been in the past. How it's always been in the past when it actually hits the shelf, because there's been press conferences like the PS3 where it was like $800 or something crazy like that, and then people are like, "Whoa, what the hell?" No, thank you. And even the Xbox at one point was like the Xbox One was supposed to be like way more expensive than what it released out as, because they were trying to make a profit off of every box, instead of a loss or a break even. So from your side, you're leaving a Best Buy. The receipt says Best Buy at the top. What is the total for a console?
The total before tax, right? I'm not going to factor in tax.
No. What is the total before factor in the tax of all 50 states?
Yeah. Hang on.
What is the total on it, and what do you think is a realistic number? Because it's not really down to what would you pay for. Because here's the thing: we're both going to go buy the next console. No matter what. Yeah. It's just kind of like what actually makes sense. Because you pointed out we're at that 500 level. So is that where we stay? Or do you think we go up?
I think we go up.
By how much? Like $100?
At least. I think we will see at least a $600 console from each company. And I think it could even be more, which
oh my god,
which hurts.
That's where I think SKUs help them.
No, I absolutely agree. If they could launch one version of it at $500, and it's a lesser model,
1080p
whatever,
or something,
and then your next one would be $600 or $650 or $700 or whatever it needs to be to make sense to them. Which I think. I don't know. I think
he's scared. He's giving them permission to make that.
No, I'm definitely not giving him permission. I just the way things have gone and the way that technology moves and all that just seems to point to
it's not even more technology. It's just people not giving a shit about what the price is of something, and they just continue to pay for it.
And on top of that, I mean, we've had the price of processors go through the roof, right? Yeah. Because of all the Bitcoin and things like that. So people are building these crazy computers just for mining Bitcoin, and so that drove the price of processors through the roof. Mm-hmm. And now everything costs more because now processors are overpriced because they can, just solely because they can. So now. and obviously, I mean, your consoles are still going to have processors in them. They're still going to use a processor probably from a major company because that's typically what they do. And so I think that's also going to have obviously some pull on what the price ends up being. But I think we will absolutely be at least 500. I'm thinking we're going to be around 600.
Oh, God.
And it sucks because nobody wants to spend that much money on a console. I mean, the Switch coming out, and I think I paid $350 for it. 300 probably.
I thought it was $399 for Switch.
300, yeah.
Yeah, 300.
Yeah, but I bought mine a year ago. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if it ever had a price drop or not. I don't think it has yet. So I think 300 is what I paid for it. But I bought a couple games at the same time and things like that, so I don't quite remember. But anyway, I think that's a lot easier pill to swallow, and we've kind of talked about that before. How that's what's keeping the 3DS and the 2DS alive is the fact that it's easier to pay that much money for a console for a child versus dropping $300 on it. And I think going forward, man, the price of consoles is, I don't really think they give a shit because they know it's going to sell eventually anyway.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like $699.
That's about that's even more than what I thought too. So
No,
600 to 700 is exactly what I think we're going to be at.
Think about what they have to do, man, hardware wise, inside of there to make them last. Like the next 10 years.
I would rather see them not have separate SKUs at launch. I don't want to see. It seems I understand why they would do it, but at the same time, I think it seems cheap to go ahead and have a cheaper model and then basically have a Pro at launch as well.
Yeah, it's a shitty thing to do.
It just seems shitty. Yeah, exactly. And
they'll supplement it.
A mid-generation upgrade. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Advances and things like that. But I think at launch, it just seems. It just seemed kind of wrong.
Yeah, and they'll supplement that. If they don't have the SKUs, they'll supplement with the fact of the finance program.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And that's exactly why they launched it ahead of time. What was it? The Xbox All Access program, where they finance an Xbox and you can finance a game and
finance it.
However many controllers, whether it comes with Game Pass, whether it comes with Gold, and on their part, I mean it's fucking genius.
No,
why wouldn't you do it? I mean, absolutely.
Well, you can now keep raising your price every single generation because people are going to have options to split it up, into payments.
And then you're going to have, people that couldn't previously afford it buying one now because they can finance it. You're going to have people who are more willing to go get it earlier rather than waiting and saving up money. There's so many different things, and they're bringing more people to their own market because beforehand, you could have gone to like a Rent-A-Center or something like that and financed one. But for the most part, the only way to buy an Xbox previously was just go buy it. Yeah, you got to go buy it.
The credit card,
bite the bullet, and get it.
Yeah.
So now they're just giving an easier way for more and more people to buy it, which I think is genius. It kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's genius. I mean, you can't blame them, I guess.
Snap.
It's a business.
So I guess full recap on all this for next gen of what we want. Smaller hardware with availability of different colors. Better quality for controllers, better quality of materials for buttons and such of controllers as well, and probably a little bit more ergonomics, honestly. We also want UI to be quicker, faster, and to showcase games better. We totally think that we're going to start off being able to play games on disc and through digital storefront, and then it's all just going to go to subscription-based models of just streaming and, a la Game Pass and other stuff in PlayStation Plus. And when it comes to cost, we're going to be paying a lot for these systems. Yeah, seriously.
It's going to hurt a lot.
Oh, God. Good God, man. Not a fan.
No, but that's the day and age we live in.
That's the way it go. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Diggity Gaming. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Radio Public, wherever you listen. We're there, so subscribe to us. Leave us a review or leave us a comment on YouTube, because this is YouTube. Obligatorily, we have to. Is obligatorily even a word? No.
I don't think so.
No, definitely not. An obligatory action you have to make is you have to always say smash that like button.
Yo.
Because that's the way to do it on YouTube. Smash that like button.
I hate it so
fam.
much. Oh, it's so bad.
It is so bad. Ugh. Good God. Anyways, subscribe to us. Leave us a review for the audio podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening to. It helps us out a ton. Also, leave us a comment or a review on the YouTube channel as well. It helps us out a ton as well. Makes the show, allows us to hear what you're saying and make the show better, or allows us to keep things in the show that we like talking about the doom and gloom of the fact that we might be having to pay $700 for a gaming console.
Yeah,
it's scary. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. And until next time, guys, we will see you for the Thursday show. See ya.